Hey there, Nicole Holland here. Thanks for coming back with us today. I'm joined by my friend Chris Badgett. He's known as the online course guy and has created a number of successful online courses, including a gardening course publishing business with experts around the world. He's also the CEO of the fast-growing popular course building tool for WordPress-powered websites called LifterLMS. LifterLMS helps online course creators convert their expertise and life experiences into income by creating impactful online courses. Chris also hosts a podcast for course creators called LMS Cast, which comes from his passion for online courses, membership sites, and learning management systems. If you want to discover how to create an online course business, add courses to an existing business, and use courses to generate more leads and sales, Chris is your guy, and I am super pumped that he's here with us today to deep dive into his tool, LifterLMS. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here, Nicole.
Yay! And you've been here before. It's so nice.
I'm back.
We were just chatting before hitting record, and it's been so long since we've talked. But it's been a blast catching up. And so before we get going, tell us, please, number one, what does LMS mean? And number two, what does your tool do in a nutshell?
So LMS stands for Learning Management System. And what people use it for is to create online courses or training-based membership sites or online schools, or even internal training like courses that you use inside your company to train employees or onboard your customers and create efficiencies that way. The M part, the management, is really what makes an LMS different from just a basic membership or online course tool that you might have seen out there, because you can manage people, you can do a bunch of data interrogation, look at how people are progressing or not, how people in different groups are doing. You can manually manage orders or remove or add people manually. There's all kinds of management you can do. So essentially what LifterLMS helps you do is you can create a single online course and you can charge for it, or it can be a free course for lead generation. There's lots of options there. Or you can build that's one end of the spectrum. At the other end of the spectrum, you could build an entire online university type thing with multiple instructors, like a huge course catalog of courses. You can add private coaching elements and even like a Facebook-like community experience to your website. And with Lifter, it's for people who have a WordPress-powered website and want to own the platform as opposed to rent access to a platform on what we call a hosted solution. So if you want to own the real estate that your school is on and have the extendability of what's possible in the WordPress ecosystem, because there's just all kinds of other tools and custom stuff you can add, that's what LifterLMS is all about.
Awesome. And I am understanding more today when you say that than I did a year ago and, a year before that and so on. So I wonder if, in case this is a little bit confusing, I think a lot of people listening at least have an idea and a basic understanding of what you're saying, but can we talk about 3 specific use cases? So can you give us the business owner 3 different types of business owners who would most use this, and just in a nutshell, or, in just a minute or so for each, what they appreciate most about how your tool serves them?
Yeah, that's great. So the first type I would call just the expert, somebody who has skills, passion, experience in a particular niche or industry. And let's say they're a public speaker and they've been on the road doing the circuit, doing talks, or a published author, and they're looking to get into taking their expertise into the scalable online world and take that knowledge and experience and transform it into an online course. That whole expert industry is a huge use case for LifterLMS. So basically similar to how you would write a book with chapters and sections, that expert can start transitioning their content into video, audio, download, worksheets, assignments, and really design the course around taking a particular type of person from a problem or opportunity point through a process and through knowledge to get some kind of result that they're promising in their marketing or whatever. And that's usually a paid course. That's the whole expert industry, and Lifter is a great fit for that. Some of the add-ons for Lifter allow you to add things like private coaching or community to the website. So if you want to offer courses, but you also want to have private one-on-one coaching between the expert and the student, you can do that. We have something called private areas where you can do that. They can have private, Zoom calls or whatever, and then those recordings can go into that student's private area and they can have a conversation. So I often talk about courses in the concept of the stack of like, what is the offer here? Because you can do more than just courses with Lifter. You can have courses plus coaching plus community. You can add more to your stack. So that's the first one. That's the expert industry. That's the solo person. And for those people, they either take one of two options. They do one course over and over and over again, maybe do a couple launches a year or leave it open all the time. And they're continuously improving and refining that course. Or they launch they're always launching new courses around different topics. Neither way is right or wrong, but I see the expert go into one of those two areas. The second area would be an entrepreneur who has kind of a publisher's mindset. And you mentioned in my introduction, I have a organic gardening and permaculture course site. I took on the publisher mindset for that. So what I did is I went and I found experts around the world in a niche that was not really well represented online that I was passionate about, formed partnerships with these experts. I even flew out to some of the workshops they were hosting in person with a video camera. Later, I hired people to do that. And would basically take this offline event and turn it into an online course in these super hot niches that didn't really have a lot of, they weren't really developed on the internet at that time very well. So that's me taking the publisher mindset. So that's a totally different style. And just think about the way a book publisher operates. It's very similar, but in the online course, new media kind of way. The third type of online course or membership site owner is for somebody who's going to do, like, if you already have a successful company and you want to do internal training where you're capturing systems and processes, SOP, standard operating procedures, you're getting your team involved. Like, let's say Susan is like just the absolute best at whatever this job function is. Susan may leave and get another job. She may retire. There's all kinds of things that can happen. Susan can kind of create course content or entire courses around her role so that as the company grows and we need another Susan, or if Susan leaves, that kind of training is there. You can also use courses for training your customers. So this is particularly useful for SaaS companies. Courses can actually double as both marketing, where you're showing how to use your software, which, prospective buyers want to see. I mean, they read the marketing and everything, but they want to see how the software actually works. So they're watching these like tutorial videos. Those same courses can be used once that prospect converts to a customer to help train the customer and get going with the software and start implementing it into their business. So those are more courses, not as the main revenue source, but to help a business grow and to help a business, capture value from their team and help their prospects and customers be successful with their product.
Fabulous. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing those. Yeah. I've got my wheels going. Cool. So, and how did you come up with this product in the first place? Because you've been in business for how long?
The LifterLMS software project has been in business for a little over 4 years, and I had an agency building websites for clients for 8.
Where you were doing custom sites, like custom memberships and courses, right?
Correct. Yeah, we were definitely specialized in that niche and ultimately wanted to build a product in that space.
Awesome. And what was the shift for you? Because now you've got this thing, and it's a plugin for WordPress, correct?
It is. It's a suite of plugins for WordPress. There's the main plugin, LifterLMS, and there's add-ons that bring different things to it.
So what made you think, oh, you know what, let's give, because you have, I believe the basic LifterLMS plugin is free still. Is that right?
That's correct.
So what made you think, let's take what we're doing and charging a heck of a lot of money for and make this available to anybody?
Yeah, and just to put some numbers behind what you're saying there, these custom sites that we don't do agency work anymore, but that we used to do, we would start at $30,000 and then it would usually range up to somewhere around $80,000. But
so
why
that's
did
huge. That's huge. And why did you go, let me just give it away?
That's, in my opinion, that's modern marketing, and it's just classic results in advance. So when we give away the 90% of the value, there's still a critical like 10 or 20% or whatever that people pay for and gladly pay for. Our free tool, has around not a small conversion rate to becoming paid customers, but the free tool can be useful by itself. But mostly it boils down to two things. One of them is a philosophy and a mindset and a commitment to our mission which I say is to democratize education in the digital classroom. We wanted to make this tool accessible to entrepreneurs, no matter where they were in the world. If they can get a WordPress website up and going, which can be very affordable or close to nothing, and start getting results, then they can afford to invest in our more advanced tools. And that ended up being a wise marketing move. When we first launched the product, it was not free. And after a year of that, when we transitioned it to free, it only took 1 month to get our revenue numbers back to where they were when it was a paid product. And then ever since then, this was several years ago, it's just steady growth ever since.
Fantastic. Great. So what have you found to be the biggest barriers to people starting their online course or their online school or their membership? Like, what has been the biggest barrier when people say, I think a lot of people say, okay, you know what, I have so much content, right? Like I've been speaking, or I've been an author, or I've been doing things for like 2 decades. So why aren't they just getting it done? I know some of the people that I talk to, they have this block thinking that it has to be difficult. They have to hire videographers and they have to do all of the things that are very costly, and they don't feel like they have the understanding of the tech to even know who to hire and all that. So I'm just curious if that's something, and also if it is or if it's not, what are the things that you hear in the industry that hold people back from creating online courses and memberships?
This is honestly my favorite question, Nicole. So thank you for asking it. The answer to the first part is what's holding people back, or why is it not working out? I call it the 5 hats problem. And so it's sort of like, and it depends on where you're at and who we're talking here. But the challenge of creating an online course and doing this enterprise is you have to be basically 5 people at once, or build a team that can cover the bases of these different specialties. One is just being an expert. The second is being a community builder. The third is being what we call an instructional designer or teacher, someone who's able to take expertise and create a learning journey. The fourth is to be a technologist. And the fifth is to be an entrepreneur. So depending upon who I'm talking to, I'm trying, when I'm listening to what's not working, I'm listening for those 5 areas, like where are we underdeveloped here? Because that's what's holding us back. And it's very rare to get the skills all in one person. So that's why I recommend, building a team or working with, if you're not super technical, or, to not necessarily take on all that if you don't want to, or you have the resources not to. But, a lot of times, so like I have a podcast and I have, create videos. Like I just did a webinar and I showed the non-technical person how to build a site with Lifter and have the course up for sale. I showed how to do it in 15 minutes and 11 seconds. The technology does not have to be difficult.
And I believe we have that in the archive, because you did that with my audience as well, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think. It's been a while. So I'll see if we can pull that out of wherever it is. I'll find that video and we'll stick that on the show notes page as well. So anybody who wants to see that demo, because it was very quick.
It is quick, and the tool has become a lot more powerful. So I'll make sure you get the new video, and
perfect.
It's even better. The second part of that question was about, I'm trying to remember what you were saying there. Something about, was it getting stuck? I can't remember.
Well, I can't remember either, but it was something probably to the effect of like, what's holding people back? Why don't they take that action? And so they have to be all 5 hats or have a team wearing each of the 5 hats. But I find also even like people I've spoken with that have teams and have technical team, like they have technical people. And I think sometimes they think they have to start from scratch. They have to start from the beginning and do it all internally and all their own. And what your solution does, if I understand, at different levels, like depending on where someone is, you've already built it. They just have to basically install it and make it their own. And you have all the, you can talk about the Infinity Bundle maybe, and all the different things you mentioned, the community and the coaching. And also you can create something like a monster. You can create this huge machine that does exactly what you want, or you can keep it really bare bones, but you have already created the software for that, right?
Yeah. And I can speak to that. That's a great issue to touch on. And one way I like to describe this issue is that sometimes I find that people tend to go to the software, the tools, and then they go try to put a course together, and then they go look for a community to launch to. And what I've seen in my experience is that people are more successful when they do it in the opposite order, which means you focus on building a community, a tribe, an audience, a list, whatever. And then you focus on building your course content or that learning path, that learning journey. What do I need to do to help this type of person solve this type of problem? How do I design training and action steps and resources for that, and get my course content together basically. And then the final step is to actually wrap it in technology, slap on the credit card payments, use the features in the technology tool to make it as engaging and highest likelihood that people are going to complete and use the material. Then you're off to the races. So it's kind of the opposite way than a lot of people do that. And also, Lifter is really scalable. So one of the things I like to say is the launch of the course is the starting line, not the finish line. The best course creators, they launch it and then they get feedback, they make it better. They're looking at their course analytics. They see where people are getting stuck or falling off or failing quizzes or whatever, and they make it better. So there's this iterative cycle of continuous improvement that is what makes the courses I see really work out, stand the test of time. And if you're deciding between, as an expert, if we go into that type of person who builds courses, I would advise, like, if I had to choose between one course and then like a membership with lots of courses, maybe give one course a shot for a year to 18 months and just continually make it better and better before you branch out into a lot of courses and fracture your focus. Because, perfecting one course seems to, and when I see these sites launching, tends to have higher likelihoods of success before going to multiple courses. And to what you were saying about the Infinity Bundle, so Lifter, the core software, has everything you need to create, sell, and protect an engaging online course. But then we have all these add-ons, things like integrating credit card payments through Stripe and PayPal, which we've probably heard of here, integrating with email marketing tools, and we have some like design assets like achievement badges, certificate backgrounds. These are all things that you can add on to Lifter, but we also have these advanced add-ons, which include things like private areas, social learning. These are components that bring in the private coaching. So if you want to offer, let's say, a course for $500, but then there's another buy now button in the pricing table that says course plus coaching, $5,000, the tool is ready to scale with you and offer that solution if you want it to. If you want to have advanced quizzes and assignments that have grading and feedback and remarks and all this stuff, these are advanced tools. And all that advanced stuff is included in everything else we offer inside our Infinity Bundle. So you can start with like, if I was going to start like at the very beginning, I would create a paid course and I would, in the settings, put it for sale like a month from now. So now I'm on the hook. I actually got to make this thing. And you can like literally launch something like that in half hour. And, you know, you lay out what the lesson structure is going to be and you start getting market validation and that kind of thing. People, you get some sales and now you better start creating some lessons, because the people that bought it are going to be able to get inside. You know, you can use drip content and all these other things, but it can scale from there all the way up to like a full blown like membership site with, you know, lots of courses, lots of teachers, coaches on the platform, other members only restricted resources, but start small.
So you can, so you're talking there about pre-selling. So you create the offer, the name of the course, and you have your outline, but you don't necessarily have to put it all together before you start monetizing that, right? And I think that's what
not at all. Yeah.
That's what a lot of people fall into, is they say, okay, I'm going to create this thing, and then they go create it, and then they try and get people in it and nobody buys, or they are frustrated. But if you offer it first, you create the outline within LifterLMS, and you can start charging for it immediately, knowing that the start date is a month out or whenever it is, then you can actually have students enroll and build it as the money is coming in. That's what you were saying?
Absolutely. And you could put an early bird discount on that. You could even open up like a weekly, let's say, coaching call that comes with it. And that way you get the feedback loop open. So even before you create it, as you're helping these people, you may realize like, oh, I made some assumptions in my curriculum, my lessons. People keep asking me about this thing that's not in that course. I'm going to add that in real quick to make my course even more valuable and more, you know, what we call product market fit. Like, we're a big fan of having that feedback loop open and that having your students help co-create it, which then allows you to continuously improve it.
This is so good. So much stuff. And we are coming out of time. And so I just want to wrap up thanking you so much for everything you've shared, Chris, and also letting my listeners know that if this is interesting and you're more curious, inspired, what have you, Chris is actually putting a special page together for my listeners and a special offer. So do you want to mention what we're looking at there, Chris?
Sure, absolutely. So look for the link in the show notes of this episode on the Nicole Holland Show. And on that page, you'll click the link, and on that page, we'll have that video that shows you how to build your course site in 15 minutes and 11 seconds, even if you're a non-technical person. Also on that page, we're going to have a special 20% discount coupon code for you if you'd like to try out any of the LifterLMS tools or bundles.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. This has been a blast as always, and I learned more as always. And appreciate your time.
Thanks, Nicole. Great to catch up with you and the audience.